Welcome back, everyone. We're closing in on 3 years in this house. That'll be as of November 26th of this year, 2021. And I've done a lot to this place. And hey, that's why those legs are... You asshole. Now I know why those are looking like... Oh my god. Anyway, love you. What was I saying? We've done a lot to this house. A lot. Just rattling off some of the major stuff like a roof, furnace, all the appliances, flooring, window repairs. I didn't replace any windows in this house except for the basements. But I did repair these windows, so that they're good for another, 67 years. Just normal routine maintenance that was deferred for many years. Plumbing, tons of electrical work, just in upgrades and added circuits and increased capacity and a few things. But all that stuff has been done over the past, actually within the first 2 years, thankfully. And of course, the pandemic hit us, so all of the other ambitious plans I had will be put on hold because there are materials shortages. The last big thing we did is I had the chimney on the furnace flue relined, and thankfully I found somebody qualified who wasn't in the overcharging business. He actually did it for a pretty fair amount and did a fantastic job. But as I was saying, I put a lot of stuff on hold. Like, we wanted to have a concrete patio poured, and again, the prices that things are right now, not going to happen. Not for maybe 2 years, I'm thinking. It's going to cost a lot of money. But I want to get some smaller things done. And one of those is, there's an outlet right here that is actually switched. It is a switched outlet because they had put a, and I think it's original to the building. I don't think it was added later on. I think it was part of the original plan. But there's this outlet right here. It actually runs off the kitchen circuit. And that in and of itself isn't the problem. The problem is it's switched. And anything we plug in here gets shut off if we shut the light off, which is lame. What I want to do is I'm going to convert this outlet. I'm going to change its path, or it's going to now run off of the Breezeway circuit. I actually ran a separate line for the Breezeway, and it's going to run off of that. And that's how it's going to be for the next millennia. All these alcohol bottles, by the way, these are things people left at our house. We don't really drink. So, if you give us alcohol, it probably won't get used. It'll just sit here until the next party. But, you see, this outlet is not grounded. This room gets a little damp. I just don't like the idea of an ungrounded outlet in here. I also don't want it to be switched. So today's video, I'm hoping to do two things. If I do nothing, I'm going to rerun the wire from this outlet up into the attic, and I'm going to go over into the garage, where it will run off of the Breezeway circuit. And the nearest junction for that, because it comes over here, down, and then it goes back up again to supply lighting power for the garage. Maybe we'll I'm going to probably put a junction box in the attic for that, actually. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't need this door open. Look how close that. So, it is getting kind of chilly, so, keep that in mind. But anyway, so I'm going to put I've left enough slack in there to do a junction. And that's going to be up in the attic. Let's go look in the attic. Let's see what we got to do there. But the other thing I want to do is I want a ceiling fixture. Now, this is a ceiling fan that I bought a couple days ago. It's probably going back. It's not going to fit. It's too tall. This is a almost 8 foot ceiling. This is like probably 7'6", no, it's bigger than that. It's 7 feet, maybe 7'8", maybe. And because of that, you can't put a ceiling fan with a light kit in the middle of the room and still maintain minimum code requirements for blade height. Not only, even if you do make blade height, you're not going to get the headroom height. So I'm going to look at hugger fans and see if any of those might fit better. That is an all season, all weather fan. Like you can put that on your outdoor patio or veranda or whatever. This room doesn't get wet. I mean, the problem is because of these windows and they don't seal up during periods of extreme temperature changes. It can actually get pretty soaking wet in here. It's already ruining my paint job. I'm going to have to go back and touch it up in a few spots. But yeah, it's just, unfortunately, that's just how it is. So what I might do is just get a cheap hugger fan and put it in here. If I can't do that, then I'm going to get an outdoor rated, probably a white ceiling fixture, like a light fixture. So I've got to crawl up in the attic. Oh, wait till you see that. There is no room up there. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do this. I'm really freaking out about it because it is such a tight spot and easy to get stuck up there because I have to squeeze through a hole that's 16 inches, about 15 inches wide. I'll fit, but I mean, I'm thankfully I'm not that big, but I'm not skinny anymore either. Let's take a look in the attic. So with our house, to get into the attic, you have to go through this scuttle, which is in the second bedroom. And it's really sad because I can't use the space up here for anything for two reasons. It's too goddamn hot up here in the summer. It gets up to about 130 degrees, I think, give or take. Yeah, it's hot. Let's get this out of the way. And with all this insulation, I'm going to just pull this up so I don't mash it down while I'm working. There we go. But it's a nice strong floor. Ouch. But you can see, in order to use the space for anything useful, like I'm standing up right now. You can't see that, but I am. But as soon as I move my way over to the side, I hit the beams. But look at all this space. Look at all this space. It's crazy. Totally wasted space. Now, the other thing I want to mention, the way the house is plumbed, right there is our vent stack. But the pipe going from the basement up to here is big enough for a second bathroom. Again, it's pretty clear that when they built this house, they had that in mind. That, eventually this house might have the cape conversion done to it. A lot of capes started out as ranches like this, and then were later blown upward. Okay, I actually wanted to come up here a while ago and take care of. Oh my God, it actually died. No, it didn't. I turned that circuit off. Never mind. What I have here is my range extender, which has proven useless year over year. So goodbye range extender. So I gotta bring in some lighting in here. Not sure how I'm gonna do that. Okay. I got a mouse trap that never got hit. Check this out. This light bulb, far as I can tell, dates back to about 1954. This is one of the original light bulbs. Isn't that cool? Made in USA, Sylvania. There were two of these Sylvania bulbs up here, and I put LEDs in because they weren't bright enough. But anyway. Alright, what am I doing? That is the porch lighting. This wire got damaged by mice. It's still a good wire though. The internal insulation is fine, so I cut off the damaged part. The dust up here is unimaginably bad. Wait a minute. Okay, one of these should be, yeah, this one right here, I think. Or this one over here. Yeah. One of these. What's that for? We got to figure out which bay that outlet is in, because that's where we got to pull our wire out. So we got to pull some wire up this way and then tail it down with something a little better. And what I want to do is I'm going to put a junction. This is the wire that feeds the breezeway. This is the wire that feeds, if I'm not mistaken, the garage light, exterior light. These two, one of them feeds the garage. The other one feeds, I'm not sure what's what here. I ran these wires, I should know. This used to be the garage feed. But why is there a 14.3 going down in the same bay? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. That 14.3, because you can tell it's round. And I got one here too. This one should be for the light, because that's a 3-wire. So it's a 2-way light. Oh, that goes to a switch. Okay, that's right. That goes to the switch. The 14.3 goes to it's a 2-way switch in the garage. Okay. And the other one supplies power to what? What does it supply power to? I forgot I had so many wires going in there. But this one right here, this used to feed the garage and the breezeway. What I did is rather than pull the whole thing out, excuse me, I just cut it. And I turned it into a utility outlet for the attic. Figured, what the hell, right? Why not? Alright, so I have to, we gotta pull the outlet down. I think this 14.3 actually goes through the nailer plate and then over to, I think that actually feeds the basement light. I'm not positive on that one. So let's do some investigating. Let's take that outlet off. I already cut the power to it. And we're going to see what's what. But I know that this is for the light switch. And I think this is what provides power to that circuit. So that's what that's all about. Again, this is our Breezeway power. One of these is our garage power. And then this is, again, this goes to that light switch. Let's take a look at the other end. I only did that 2 years ago, so, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. Here's another mouse trap that never tripped. It's a pretty solid house. When I had this house inspected 3 years ago, the inspector that I hired, I bought it as is, as shown. No warranties. The house may or may not be livable, and somehow managed to qualify for a conventional mortgage because I put so much money down. But the inspector that I hired was a friend of mine, and he went through it with me. Most inspectors won't do that, but he actually took the time and said, "Yeah, let's look it over." And we went top to bottom, soup to nuts, and he said it's a solid house. The only issue was one floor joist that needs to be replaced. 2, actually, which I talked about before. But the rest of it's solid. Doesn't smell musty or mildewy or anything, so there's no water leaks. Every once in a while, it's a good idea, if you have a walkable attic, you just go up there and check things out. Make sure everything is kosher. But let's go back down. Yeah, okay, so it's actually a 12.3, not a 14.3, but that 12.3 is really just I only used 12 gauge because it's all I had for 3-wire Romex. So that is for the switch only, and then the other it would be a 14-2 that provides power to the light fixture. So yeah, that's right. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't losing my mind here. No, that's exactly what we did because that's what we had to do. We just reran what was already there. Oreo, you cannot go in the garage. I'm sorry, but you can try.
So when I removed this outlet, I figured out that there's a 14-3, that's 14 gauge 3-wire cable feeding the outlet. And what I later determined is that they actually used the outlet as a junction box. So the 14-3 comes in from the switch and the power source. The red wire is switched hot, and the black is constant power hot. And then that black wire goes back up into the attic and feeds what used to be the garage feed.
Make sure you take lots of pictures when weird stuff like this starts to pop up. So this wire is not stapled in the wall. None of these are. I got lucky. Yes, that's luck, my friends. Well, here's what I'm thinking. So what I can do is I can pull this guy back completely, run it down there, and not waste any wire, and then run it back up and out again. That I would like to do. I'll show you what I mean when I'm done. We're going to disconnect the lighting, the feed coming. So this way I don't have to put a junction box in. Junction boxes are never good, if you can avoid them. If they're avoidable. We just have to unstaple all this shit. All right? We're going to pull back and we're going to tie a fish tape to it. Or, I'm sorry, we're going to tie some fiberglass reinforced pull string. We're going to pull it back through, then we're going to run it down that wall. Then we're going to pull out the supply with another 14-3, or whichever one of those becomes whatever it becomes. And we're going to run it back this way. Now for my first trick, I'm going to pull a pull string first, and then we'll pull the wire back with the pull string. So let's hope that pull string stays attached, huh? Please. One trick is if you feel any resistance at all, it helps to have a spotter. I don't have a spotter. She's at work today, so and I took the vacation day. I took the day off as a vacation day, so that's why I'm here. In case you're really wondering. Anyway, so I'm gonna pull that through. Hopefully it stays. Hopefully it all works out. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's not stapled. Wouldn't that just suck? Now, I looked at the electrical code, and I believe in 1954 it was code that your wiring had to be stapled to the studs. They did not do that. Nope, they did not do that. It's pulling nice and easy. Is there? Easy. Easy. Fuck it. If it comes up empty, we'll be upset. I have a fish tape, and I know how to use it. There it is. My fish tape is stuck. Let's go look at why. That was a close call. It got stuck in the box. It's alright, we're good. We'll just pull enough of it through to where we don't have to worry about it breaking on the way back down. I think that's enough. So you want to wrap that around something like a nail or something, or a box. Yeah, there's where it got smunged. Just wrap it there so it can't go in nowheres. As for this guy, well, I'd like to remove it entirely, but it is our switched. What brand is this? If it's Triangle, that's what they used. It's Roflex. So they used a lot of Triangle brand wire. None of it grounded. God forbid, right? None of it grounded. Those bastards. I'm gonna have to to tee this off because I'm not about to run this back in. So we're gonna cut it. We're gonna put another junction. This is gonna be junction boxes, and that's fine as long as they're exposed. They're legal. And as long as they're covered, they're legal. I looked into it. But I don't want to put another junction box if I can avoid it. What I want to do is I'm going to pull this back, and we're going to run it back down this chaseway here. Or this one. Or that one. Then we're going to pull a new wire. So let's get the other wire out of here. And let me cut my... This isn't fish tape. If I call it fish tape, I am sorry. That is not what it's called. This is pull string. And stuff is pretty strong. It's meant to go through walls and plenums and stuff without breaking. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Back to it, my friends. All right, so we've gotten some progress here. And we're about to run our first wire back in. This is the wire that I yanked from the garage. Now, careful, this is a metal box. And while this stuff is strong, it can easily be damaged. Okay. A little bit of, oh, there it is. Here she comes. There we are. I'm going to pull this tight, and I'm going to dress it up in the attic. So this is our home run. We're going to go upstairs and we're going to get it all, make sure it's tucked right, not tangled, before we do any cutting. But I am going to label this wire once I'm done. There it is. That used to go all the way through the attic to the to that outlet, actually. So we just kind of moved it to this outlet. Then we're going to run a new 14-2 up and around to that outlet. So that'll be now the second in line versus the first in line. What I didn't want to do, if I had done it any other way, because there's no other, you can daisy chain outlets. That's fine. But what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to have a junction box up there. I could have saved myself a little bit of labor by doing a junction box, but I just didn't want to do that. So the next one, I ran a fish tape, or I'm sorry, a pull string from the garage. Let me just check on that real quick, make sure that didn't get sucked through. There it is. This pull string is going to let us pull a new wire from the attic space into here. Make sense? All right, this is all energized now. So that's done. That part's done. That's hooked up. We got this all off the light switch. Now we need to climb up there. I may not film this part because it's going to be too difficult as is. It's going to be a pain in the ass. So I might not film any of that, but let's just see how it goes. We're going in. Or at least we'll try to. Alright. This would be perfect. See, this is why people have kids. Hey, son. Do Daddy a little favor, can you? Go on a little adventure. Sorry. these little boards that I want to throw down there just to give me something to kneel on. The thing is, I gotta squeeze between these studs. I could actually maybe cut one of them out. They're not really holding or supporting much of anything, actually. But I'd rather not go down that path. I'm gonna slide these down there so at least I'm not completely helpless. I think it's time. So I gotta do first, I gotta do a pilot hole to find out where the fixture is gonna go. That's step one. And so I gotta figure out where the fixture is gonna end up. So I gotta measure front to back, the whole length, divide that in half, and then I'm going to try to position it directly below the beam, the center beam. And that should be close enough, right? I think so. Oh, this is gonna so totally suck. Wish me luck. That worked out pretty well. I was able to actually, once you get past this, you're fine. Plenty of room to move around, so I was able to find the center point. I drilled my hole down as a pilot. So I didn't want to drill up from the bottom because I could hit a joist. I want it one shot. So I want it in the middle of the board, and I found the exact point where I want it to be. I'm going to double check the measurements from the inside just to see how centered it is, because it could be different. You know, what it looks like downstairs could be different from what it looks like upstairs. But I wanted to avoid accidentally drilling into a beam or drilling too far close to a beam, so I can't put a box there. Get my point? So let's go down and see what the situation looks like. We're going to set ourselves up with a hole saw. We're going to drill our hole from the bottom. We got a box, we got a wire, we're good. All the hard work is done. Well, it's not pretty, but I forgot to drill. I wanted to drill a hole through here for these other two wires, and I just didn't do it. I completely spaced it. But I did it for this one. I'm going to label all these, so the next jackass to come up here to do some work is going to know what everything is. So I figure that's just a nice thing to do, right? Interesting. The fan is causing my camera to flicker. Or it could be this light. You know what? That's probably what it is. No, it's the fan. When I get closer to it, the camera goes nuts. That's pretty cool. So I was able to keep the outlet. I went back to my photos and I looked at how it was wired before, and I determined that indeed the red wire is switched. So I ran the switched red wire to where the ceiling fixture is going to go. And the other wire I passed into this outlet so I can continue to have this outlet. And I'm going to test all that before I leave. And I never keep junk up here. All the wire gets tossed down there. Anyway, so we'll have this outlet, you know, for the future, and that's nice. I like that, unswitched. It's nice to have an outlet up here, so if I have to do a lot of work, I can bring an extension cord and some lighting and stuff. So that's why I put that there for a reason. I will eventually fix the doorbell wiring. This is janky as fuck. Yeah, there's little splices like that all over the house for the doorbell. I don't know why they did it that way. Just infinite cheapness. Who knows? Anyway. Well, I think I'm done up here. I'm done in the garage. I just need to put up a fixture. Now, I don't have a fixture to use because the one that I was going to use, the ceiling fan, it's just too big. It's not going to work. Maybe I should put it up just to see how bad it is. I can always bring it back. They said so. No, we'll see. Maria. Hey, buddy. He's ignoring me. Anyway, so we're done. So we cleaned the whole room, actually. Completely cleaned the room. Took the rug out to the driveway and I pressure washed it. And then I used the shop vac to dry it out. And it's still a little damp, but we put it in here and we're going to let it dry because we have a new ceiling fan. Yeah. Look at that. It's done. Completely done. So let's walk through the whole steps of what we did. Well, this was technically yesterday. So step one, we took that switched outlet and we made it a standard outlet by connecting. We actually pulled the wire out, put a pull string behind the wire, and that outlet is now wired into the Breezeway circuit. So I added a circuit to the breaker a couple years ago just for this room, 15 amp circuit. So that's now powering that outlet. And now daisy chains off into that outlet, where it then springs off to the garage lighting, which is how I had originally wired it. This particular, so the switched circuit, which turned out to be one switched, so there's two hots and one neutral, so I figured that out. Two hots, one neutral, and one of those hots is switched, which now powers our new ceiling fan. The constant power hot powers the attic outlet, which is what I use for tools and things. On the rare occasion I need power up in there. It's nice to have an outlet up in the attic when you need to. So that's the one outlet we have up there. And in the process I had to crawl through the ceiling space, which is very, 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 there's not a lot of room up there. But I was able to squeeze myself up in there, and I was able to add the ceiling fan box. Anyway, so the ceiling fan is a wet rated or damp rated model. So it has the PVC blades and a motor designed for occasional minimal moisture intrusion. We added a light kit, which was sold separately. That was like $25, a matching light kit for it. I'm going to shut it down so you can see what the blades look like. You know, this particular style fan is very common for porches, verandas, gazebos. This is not one that you would put in what they call, what are those things called where the top is open and it's like a trellis? I forget what those are called, but this is not a wet rated model. It is a damp rated model, so it's not meant to be in direct water, direct water exposure. So this is one step below that. What's nice about this fan is the blades, because they're PVC, they'll never sag. So a lot of times people inadvertently put standard household interior fans in these types of spaces where there's no climate control. And moisture it is a factor in this room. It does happen. During periods of weather change, when it gets, so it's really cold at night, and then it suddenly warms up during the day. What happens is it kind of rains in here. Tommy wants to come up. So it doesn't rain, but you'll see water on the ceiling, and it's been a constant struggle with that because it causes the paint to peel, even though that's exterior paint I used on that ceiling. It does occasionally peel, and I have to go in there there's a few spots that I've got to fix, but I'm not going to do that today. Anyway, so because of that, you have to have a fan that has moisture-resistant blades and a motor. That won't be the case forever, because I'm going to eventually replace these jalousie windows. I'm going to put sash windows, I'm going to try to get some really big double-hung windows, custom made. When prices start to normalize and stuff like that, I'll have those made, and I'm going to reframe these walls. So, but yeah, a lot of times you'll go into a house where there's a porch like this one, and they've got a ceiling fan installed, and the blades kind of droop down really badly. And the reason for that is a lot of the indoor rated models are they're built with masonite blades, or a material similar to masonite. It's really a composite wood substance, and even the slightest amount of moisture and they sag. Even if they don't have a lot of, like the really cheap fans, you put them in a normal living room and they do that. It's just very, very cheap materials. These blades will never sag. But anyway. But yeah, this room's coming together. Again, the next thing we got to do. The neighbor's kid screaming. The next thing we got to do, like I said, we got to blow these end walls out. Just blow them out and reframe them with proper doors and some nice windows. But everything has to be custom made, unfortunately, because, well, it's just the problem is the ceiling height. So let's talk about ceiling height for a minute. I almost returned this fan because as I'm unpacking it and looking at how tall it'll be from the bottom of the light to the ceiling plate, it was actually going to hang down. The light would have been right about where my hand is. And then I read the instructions and I found out that it's actually a convertible. The fan can be close mounted. It's not a hugger, but it can be close mounted or mounted with the included down rod, which was only about 6 inches or so. So I went with the close mount method. Now, legally, for building code and all that, you must have, from the blades to the floor, 7 feet. Would you believe it? I have, I'm 1/4 of an inch shy of that 7 feet. If you measure from the leading edge of the blade. So if you measure from the leading edge of the blade, it is, what is that, 6 feet, 6 feet 11 1/4. So 6 feet 11 1/4. That's it. But if you measure from the trailing edge, you get 7 feet. So I'm going to call that a gray area, and I'm going to let it go. So that is the minimum you can have for a ceiling fan. A lot of newer homes were built with much higher ceilings than this one. I mean, I think the modern homes are 8 feet or more, but in the 1950s it was about 7 feet 6 inches or so, 7 foot 8 inches. This ceiling, I want to say, was 7 feet. It's shy of 8 feet by about 3 inches or so. The rest of the house about the same. The ceilings are lower for energy savings and lower cost of construction. You could never put this in a mobile home because those ceilings are, I believe the ceilings themselves are 7 feet. So, but anyway, yeah, that almost presented a problem, and I almost returned the fan, and I was going to put an exterior grade light fixture, and that was it. But this came out so much better. I'm glad I did this. Now, one thing that I might do, I'm not ruling this out right now because this is such an easy fix. I could do this today. If I wanted to do it today, I could do it today. But I could rewire this with a 14 3-wire and have a switched light where the fan stays on all the time, but the light is switched. You can separate those out up at the wiring block up there. I decided not to do that. I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. I think we're going to run this fan with the light off for the most part. Oh, it's this one. We're going to run it with the light off. We have that one. Now that actually goes on and off automatically. I have one of those light bulbs which has a sensor built in. So at dawn it shuts off, and at dusk it turns on. Same with the one on the porch, or I'm sorry, in the outside of the house. So it runs. But this gives me. I relocated this. I took the fan down. I filled in all the little holes for the tacks and nails and such. And you can't even see where the fan was anymore. The fan's right there. We'll do something with that later. I'm not doing anything with that today, but that's my Vortelex with the original painted blades and the kitty ones in. So we move this over to above the table, shifted the table this way, centered the light, dropped it down a bit like a restaurant light fixture. So when you're sitting here eating dinner at night with the crickets chirping, you've got that little pendant fixture right there. One thought I had was, I've thought about this, decided against it, but I could put another ceiling fixture in, put one right there for a pendant. But decided, you know what? Let's not get too crazy. Let's just make this simple. Keep it simple, stupid, as they say. But we're gonna let this fan run all night long so that it helps to dry this carpet. It's still a little damp, little damp. So you want to dry it out. I should probably bring the dehumidifier in here and let it roll. But anyway, so that's that. We figured out why the wire was weird. Turns out that's just how they do it. It's, you can have one hot that's switched, one hot that's unswitched. Smart. All right. Till then, guys, have a good night.